the agenda of the regular session of the meeting with a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first action item is the approval of minutes for the executive session of November 14th and also the regular session of November 14th. We can take the appropriate motion. No motions to amend or change in any way on Mr. Iavino's motion to approve. All in favor? Aye. Third item is public comment, and now would be the time for anyone in the audience to address the committee on any of the topics of tonight's agenda. Not seeing anyone approaching the podium, we'll declare that portion of the meeting closed. Move on to item number 4, superintendent's reports, and hear from the superintendent on those matters.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I would like to ask Tom DeVito, the principal of the Ferryway School, to present his school improvement plan.
Thank you, Dr. Drusi, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations on moving on. This is the last time I address you, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. DeVito.
Thank you for having me here this evening and bringing holiday good news. The Ferryway did very well on MCAST last year. As I said in the spring, I thought early results looked good, and it did come out that we did very well. So well that the Ferryway School was named a commendation school, one of about only 100 schools in the state to be named that because of our performance. So I'm very proud of what the students and staff have done at the Ferryway in the last 10 years. I've been coming before you and promising you that the news would get better as we went along, and I think it's kind of appropriate as the mayor's leaving. This is his last one. I can say to him that we have come a long way, and thank you for your support, because that it took everybody's support to get this far. The Ferryway School, the English Language Arts, our CPI was 84.8. I don't want to bore you with all these numbers, but that was above the district average of 82, if you take the 5 schools and average it out. So we came above the average in ELA. And in math, we ended up with a 78.9 CPI, which is the composite proficiency index. And our 78.9 was higher than the district average of 75.6. And they don't usually give it out, but if you went through and worked out the numbers, in science, they don't usually give out a CPI, but the district average in science was 66.7, and the school's average, the Ferryway's average, was 77.3. So in all 3 areas, we were above the district average. Our average for CPI, we were, compared to the other schools, our CPI in math was number 1. In science, we were number 1. In ELA, we were number 2. So I don't think we can get much better than that in the district. And one of the other outstanding facts that came out of the testing last year is, and I think I did tell some of you, that every 8th grader that took the test in ELA passed last year at the Ferryway, which is an amazing feat for the school and for the district, I think, to have every 8th grader. And I think that speaks to the foundation that we have built over the years at the Ferryway. There is no, magic wand that's going to get you there. It takes time. It takes high standards and demands that we ask of all the students, and I ask of the staff. And we identify those students who are having difficulty and try to get them the help that they need, whether it be in math or reading. So that foundation starts in kindergarten, first, second, and third grade, and each year, the scores of the CPIs for each grade level go up until we get to the 8th grade, which you would hope would be your highest scores. And this year, in ELA for the 8th grade, the CPI was 98. I mean, that's incredible. So, well, you know, the numbers just show how well we've been doing. And under the student growth model, which is a whole other way of looking at MCAS results, but the state does use that a lot now, our math and ELA results resulted in us getting in the high achievement, high growth quadrant, which is that top right-hand quadrant. So, you know, they were in the 55 to 58 range, which is good. I mean, I would like to see them better, but again, it's in the positive quadrant, so I'm not going to complain too much about that. So I would say that it's taken everybody's help to get here, and we hope that, you know, next year the results will be as good. But I'm also realistic that there will be some possible dips here and there, because each year is a different group of kids and different situation, different circumstances. So I'm hoping that the numbers will be as good, and we will see. So, are there any questions? Mr.
Iadino.
Mr. DeVito, just a word, a very thorough plan. Obviously, the work that's gone in from the staff and from your leadership is paying off. Just one quick question. What can this committee do to help you and the teachers achieve to continue moving that forward momentum? What can we help you do? What can this committee do?
Well, I think that, you know, every year, I think Mr. Altrino asked me last year, it's staffing. I think that each year we're doing more with less. I mean, each year I lose a few staff members to budget cuts, and it's becoming almost impossible to keep that up. I don't know if we can keep doing that with the needs of the students. I mean, the numbers are growing in the students who need a lot of extra help. And, you know, last year we lost a few staff. The special ed department cut a few people. Title I cut a few people. So it's becoming more difficult to reach the high-need kids if you have less and less staff. So, I mean, I'm hoping that the new mayor will find money, as Mayor Howard has, and keep our budgets up there and help, you know, not decrease staffing. I mean, that's got to be number one on the list for me, is to try to add, you know, I would love to add staff if I could.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Iadino. Other questions? Ms. Crowe?
Thank you. I really don't have a question, but actually over the last 8 years, we've done a lot of work together, and I'm really thrilled to see all these changes. And I just really want to say congratulations to you and your administration and your staff for taking something that was really a difficult situation, the first school to really have some of these struggles, and doing a fantastic job of really turning around, and actually not just turning around, but really moving it forward. So I congratulate you on all the hard work. And I see every day how much the staff and teachers care and put all their energy into, you know, really making this, you know, a premier school. So
thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr.
Altrino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. DeVito, I just want to congratulate you and your staff. I joined the committee with Ms. Crowe 8 years ago, and we're both leaving at the same time, but we've seen where Ferryway and other schools have been, and the district as a whole is improving, and we're very proud of that. And of course, staffing is an issue, and especially, I've always advocated for more math and literacy coaches, because and even you mentioned that the past couple of years, how important they were for intervention and training. So I just want to say, great job, and you truly have shined for us across this Commonwealth, and your staff, and you deserve a
Thank you
great
very much.
applause. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Altrino? Mr. Winslow?
Yeah, I'm wondering, after watching a show last night, I wonder, do you have a Superman over there, Tom? I just happened to watch Waiting for Superman, so I think you're a great example, and it is very much true. Even before I came on the committee, Ferryway was one of the schools that first struggled when the MCAS was being fully rolled out, so it's great to see that the effort to really focus in kids with, that have that need, and then put resources there, and over time, make that difference. I think that's a fantastic example for all the schools. Is there anything else you're sharing with the other schools, or recommend that we as a committee make sure is practiced in other schools as well in our district?
Well, I think one of the biggest things that changed the direction for us, first of all, was we were a recipient of a Reading First grant, and that changed how we taught in the classrooms, specifically reading. That's where, we first started a three-tier model of addressing the needs of students who were poor readers. And it also changed how teachers taught reading in the classroom. And I think much of that is emulated in the Bay State grant that some of the schools are doing now, but I don't know all the details of the Bay State. But, so that really changed the focus of the school, and we've stuck to that, we've stayed true to that. I think that it was a, scientifically based research, and we stayed the course over time. Obviously, the first couple of years, I was always nervous when the scores started to come out because I wanted to see growth, and it did come out positive. You often wonder if it didn't, what would have happened? I mean, would people said, forget it, this isn't going to work, but it did work, and so it changed that direction, and we stayed with that. And we focused on literacy and math. For the first couple of years, I brought block scheduling to the elementary side that had never seen that really before. And so the whole school just had a common theme, a common focus, math and reading. No matter what we were doing, it was literacy-based, everything. And we were very careful to bring in anything else that would distract from that. So I would say that, any advice I would give to other principals in schools is be careful what you introduce, make sure it's scientifically based, that it has research behind it, and that you believe in it, and stick to it, and don't, after, a couple of years, give up on that. Because, we've heard in the past many times, programs are introduced, and then after a couple of years, they disappear. Well, that pattern doesn't help produce positive results in programs, because people feel like, I'm not going to fully commit to something because something new is coming down the road in a couple of years. We didn't do that. We stayed together as a school. At the beginning, I brought everybody together and said, listen, we're in this together, sink or swim, we need to move forward. I'm there, my other administrators, everybody, we pull together and we rise together. And that's, you have to believe that. I think that at this point, probably at the Ferryway, now after, being in charge for, almost a dozen years, 60 to 70% of the staff I have hired. So, I'm always looking for certain qualities when I hire people, and I think that, I've shared this with my staff. If you look around when we have a staff meeting, I said that there are qualities that everybody here kind of shares in common. Belief that all kids can learn, positive outlooks, and those are all important. So that, kind of the quote Bill Parcells used to say, if you want me to cook the meal, you gotta let me buy the groceries. Well, you know, it's the same thing. If you expect me to have good results at the school, you have to let me hire the people I think can do the job, and then believe in them. And I think that's what we've done. If you look at the Fairway staff, I think that, other than retirements, that we've been pretty cohesive the last, 8 or 9 years. We haven't really lost a lot of different people. It's the same staff.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Winslow. Other questions? Mr. Frail?
Tom, I'd like to thank you for what you've done for the students in Malden, and you proved that we have capable people that can get promoted up to a higher job and do a very good job. So thanks to you and your staff.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mr. Frail. Not seeing any other lights, Tom, I'm going to ask you the same question that I've asked you every year, just about, for the last several in particular. I know Lenny and Steve focus on what it is the committee can do to make the trend continue, and the one extremely, I think, positive note to the story that you bring is the consistent incremental progress over a period of years. I think it's the trend that I think is most impressive,
Right.
in what you and the faculty have been able to accomplish. So again, I personally commend you for that and congratulate the entire team down there for the results. But you and I have had this kind of dialogue for the period of time that you've had the expanded learning grant. I know in the early years you were somewhat, I wouldn't say skeptical, but you still wanted to wait a while before you could feel comfortable saying that having that expanded day meant something or didn't to your ability to be able to achieve. Do you feel certain now that one way or the other that does lend a certain element into your success? Because I think it would be important. I don't know if DESE now is keeping up with you guys on what results the expanded districts are turning in. And I think it'd be important for policymakers to hear from you and your staff, and for the public in general to understand that there's additional money being given to the system that could go away any year as you're talking about resources going away.
Well, I hear from Mass 2020 once in a while. I've been at meetings with them, and they've asked the same kind of question. Yes, right on the surface, extended day has been a positive. Obviously, I think that it has helped. It's part of the puzzle. That's kind of where I go with that answer when people ask me about extended day. You can put all the hours in the world into an extended day, but if you don't have other things in place, it's not going to be successful. I do think, as I said earlier, when we went to expanded learning time, we were going down the road already in our change. But we didn't go crazy with bringing in new programs or adding anything, as I said earlier, when we moved to extended learning time. What we did do was expand our literacy blocks, expand our math blocks, expand time for students who needed extra services so they would get help during the time of the day when other kids were doing other kinds of activities, maybe not academic activities. So they weren't losing anything from what's going on in the classroom. So we have a block of time during the day that when students are going to band, students are going to chorus, students are doing the Adobe workshop that I talked about last year that ended up having 2 students go to California, so that enrichment opportunity is there for students too. But during that time, it's also the time for students who are getting Wilson reading, students who are going to the Learning Center. So that there's a lot going on in the day. I will say that, talking to principals and talking to other teachers that from other schools, they have a hard time fitting in all the curriculum into their day. Our teachers have that advantage of more time to get more things done. I think in the article that was in the NEA online, many of you probably read it, one of the teachers, Mrs. Ivy, mentioned that it's not as stressful a day because you know, and it's built in now, you have more time to get things done. And so we're able to go maybe deeper into something. The math teachers maybe go into something a little more deep. The science teachers can go in. So ELT helps, definitely. More work is accomplished during the day because we have more time. As I said before, if you take, all the time we put in, it's 300 extra hours. If you divide that by a normal 6-hour school day for somebody else, that's 50 extra days.
Right.
We're almost, in terms of time, going 2 months longer than everybody else. That's a lot more material. But we use it wisely, so that, we don't, it's still business. Even at this point, one of the things I said to my staff earlier this year is we did have good results, but we have to fight complacency. I don't want to think now we're here and we can just rest on our laurels. We know we have to keep going. It's a new batch of kids. It's a new set of problems, and we just keep going and rolling along.
Thank you.
Tom, I have to, first of all, thank you. You reached out to a new superintendent, and if you go back to one of our first meetings, I asked you, try to figure out how you did this. So I captured a few of your words while you were talking, so just give me 2 seconds of time. Principals do not have a lot of control in the world. As an ex-principal, I can tell you I wasn't in charge of my budget, I wasn't in charge of student population, demographics, all the urgent needs of urban education is somewhat beyond a principal's grasp. However, what you managed to do is take control of what you can control, and you put it to best use. Principals hire, and you said you hired people whose qualities fit the vision of your building and the direction you wanted to go. You demonstrated your instructional leadership through supervision and evaluation. You were honest with people, you supervised, you evaluated people. You told them when they were good, you told them how to get better. You told them when they needed improvement. You didn't pull any punches. And I think the biggest thing a principal does control is a building's climate and culture. And as you said, when you took over, you looked at everybody in your building and said, this isn't us. We can do this. We need to row in the same direction. So while you make it look easy over time, that's a lot of work. So as an ex-principal, hats off to you. You did a phenomenal job. You never made an excuse for urban education, but you demonstrated over time it can be a very successful endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
The committee will take the school improvement plan on file. Accepted by Ms. Grove, seconded by Mr. Iadino. Motion to accept, all in favor? Aye.
Okay, next on the agenda, at this time, I'd like to call up representatives of Malden Reads. Thank you, Ms. Steele.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing us to speak with you tonight. My name is Karen Steele, and I'm a proud member of the Malden Reads Core Committee. This core committee of 16 is made up of city and school leaders, of community group representatives, library staff, and Malden residents. Now, I joined this organization first and foremost as a resident of Malden, and second as the director of the Partnership for Community Schools in Malden, with the intent of spreading the joy of reading throughout the community, and more specifically to the students and families in our after-school programs. The goal of Malden Reads is to encourage reading, promote the Malden Public Library, and most of all, build community. Today, we're looking to build on the success of our inaugural program in 2011, where hundreds of Malden residents read The Soloist and took part in a number of related activities across the city, including book discussion groups, movie showings, homelessness and mental health panels, journalism panel, a stone soup event, and a wonderful capstone event that brought together the entire community in music, dance, and readings. This year, we've selected the book Outcast United, a story about a refugee soccer team. Now, while this story takes place in a small southern town, it truly reflects the Malden community and will allow us to explore a number of themes such as diversity, tolerance, acceptance, cross-cultural understanding, compassion, teamwork, sportsmanship, and how our shared histories intersect in America and here in Malden. One of the things that makes our Community Reads program unique compared to some of the other programs across the country is the extent to which we involve people of all ages, including our young people. Since Outcast United is really most appropriate for adults and high school students, Malden Reads has also chosen companion books that explore the same themes as the adult books for pre-K to 8, so everyone can be a part of the program. Last year, we were very pleased that all schools took part in Malden Reads. For example, the librarians at all of the schools read the companion books during their library time and then created a number of activities based on the themes of the book. In addition, a number of teachers in the schools took time to review the themes of last year's book with their students and help them complete activities during the day. The program was also carried out in various after-school programs, in the library, and with other community groups that involve young people. For example, in our after-school programs, each Friday the students would read companion books selected by PCSM and complete activities. Some of these included writing original poetry, making friendship bracelets, writing rap songs, creating artwork, and much more. This year, we've actually made Malden Reads part of our weekly club schedule, where each school is offering a grade-appropriate book club. Each week, the students in these book clubs will again read the companion books and complete the activities. But this year, we're looking to include schools even more in the program, so that more young people can be a part of this intergenerational initiative that promotes literacy and a love of literature. We're doing this by not only providing books to the schools, as we did last year, but we're also sponsoring a Malden Reads Week in the schools February 6th through 10th, 2012. Each grade level can choose to participate in a project-based learning experience with a different end product. For example, the kindergarten students may read some books during the week, and then at the end of the week, they complete a self-portrait based on their readings. For the fourth grade students, we're hoping that they will read a different book each day, and then as a final event, write an original poem based on their readings. We have an outline of our proposal, which we will give to you this evening. In addition, we will be providing each school library with a number of the companion books which they can use during library time. The books and materials towards these efforts are provided by monies raised by Malden Reads. Donors include local businesses, nonprofit organizations, community groups, city leaders, and residents. So this really is a program in which the entire community supports the schools. So tonight, we're pleased to officially kick off the school-wide component of Malden Reads. I'd like to introduce you to Jennifer Barnes, who is the young adult librarian from the Malden Public Library, and she will introduce you to the books and why they were selected and how we're going to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Oh, sorry.
It's been my pleasure to be a part of the Malden Reads Core Committee this year. The Malden Public Library has been very involved with this year's Malden Reads selection and promotion. To select children's titles that echo the most important themes from Outcast United, I met with all K-8 school librarians and the high school librarians to discuss potential titles. We ultimately decided on 4 companion reads that reflect the immigrant experience and the refugee experience in America and what it means to be a community. For grades K through 12, we have selected 2 titles. Yoko by Rosemary Wells is a picture book by an iconic children's author featuring Yoko, a Japanese-American cat who was at first teased by her peers for a traditional Japanese lunch. That is, until the teacher comes in to rescue them and hosts an international food day for her class. We'll be pairing this title with The Name Jar by Yang Suk Choi, a powerful story about a young Korean girl who is afraid her American classmates will not be able to pronounce her name. So she creates a name jar, a place for them to place suggestions for her new name. As a spoiler alert, she does end up keeping her real name. For grades 3 to 8, we also selected 2 titles. Seed Folks by Paul Fleischman is a story of how an empty lot is transformed into a community garden, and the many people, immigrants, young and old, all with their own stories, who tend to it. Our other selection for grades 3 through 8 is Home of the Brave by Catherine Applegate, and it's a powerful and moving novel in verse about an African teen who adjusts to life in cold Minnesota winter after conflict tears apart his homeland. We are really excited that these companion reads will engage Malden children and young adults in Malden Reads 2012. School principals will receive copies of all 4 titles, and at this time, the Malden Reads committee members will be presenting copies of Outcasts United to everyone. We hope that you have a chance to read this incredible book and to pass it along. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.